Welcome back to Reddit Stories, where we delve into everyday dilemmas, boundaries crossed, and am I a bad person? Questions that make you think deeply about personal rights and kindness. Today, we're exploring a popular yet controversial story that raises questions about the boundaries of generosity, adult responsibility, and whether you have an obligation to give up your privileges for others. The story is titled AITA for refusing to give up her first-class seat on a flight to a family with young children. Was OP selfish and inconsiderate, someone who did the right thing to protect her legitimate rights, or someone who escalated a sensitive situation to an unnecessarily tense level? Find out and let us know what you think. This story comes from Reddit user FirstClassFlyerOP. We'll call him her OP, a passenger who just wanted to enjoy her flight. OP had planned this trip for a long time and had paid a small fortune to get a first-class seat on the flight. For OP, this was a reward after months of hard work, a chance to enjoy a comfortable and quiet flight without any disturbances. OP sat in her seat, ready for a relaxing journey. However, just as OP was settling in, a family consisting of a husband, wife, and a small child around 2 to 3 years old approached. It was clear that they were sitting in economy or premium economy, not first class. After dropping off their luggage, the mother of the family approached OP with a forced smile and started talking. She explained that their family was having a hard time with their crying baby and wanted to sit together. Then she suddenly made a request. She asked if OP would give up her first-class seat to her so that she could sit next to her husband and baby, and in return, OP would sit in their economy seat. OP was completely surprised and upset. OP had paid a large amount of money for this comfort and had no intention of giving it up to anyone. Furthermore, changing from first class to economy was a huge loss of comfort and value. OP felt this was an unreasonable and blatant request. OP politely but firmly refused. OP said, "I'm sorry, but I paid a lot for this seat, and I intend to sit here." OP also suggested that they should talk to the flight attendant to see if there was another solution, or that the family should arrange their own seats from the beginning. The family reacted very negatively. The mother was frustrated and seemed angry, while the father looked at OP with an annoyed look. They started to grumble about OP's selfishness and lack of compassion. They even tried to attract the attention of other passengers to put pressure on OP, as if OP was the one at fault for not giving up her seat. The situation became tense. OP felt completely justified in defending her rights, but was accused of being a bad person just for refusing an unreasonable request. Seeking confirmation and advice, OP posted her story on Reddit, asking the community AITA. The OP's post exploded on Reddit, garnering tens of thousands of comments and hundreds of thousands of upvotes. The thread touched on one of the most contentious issues in modern society: the rights of individuals who pay for premium service versus the expectations of others. The vast majority of the Reddit community sided with the OP, insisting that she is not a bad person at all. They emphasized that paying for first class is a privilege, and no one is obligated to give it up. You paid for that seat. It's your seat. No one has the right to ask you to give it up, especially if they want you to sit in economy. This is not a request. It's a demand. Never give in. This comment received tens of thousands of upvotes and multiple Reddit awards. They should have bought first class if they wanted to sit in first class. A child is not a reason to sacrifice your comfort. The plane is not a place for blind personal kindness. First class is a premium. paid service. You are under no obligation to do anything. If they were really interested in sitting together, they would have arranged it themselves or asked the airline in advance. Asking you is blatant. I would decline too. Everyone has the right to enjoy what they paid for. Don't let anyone make you feel bad about it. A few comments tried to provide a more balanced perspective or suggested more tactful communication from the family's side or considered the situation from the parents' perspective. The family may be desperate and can't think of anything else. OP has the right to decline. This is an awkward situation for both parties. No one is the real bad guy. This comment is often disputed and gets fewer upvotes. If they are being loud and disruptive to the flight. The family is wrong to ask. OP has the right to refuse, but the way they refuse can affect the overall atmosphere on the plane. Criticize the narrator. This number is extremely small, often focusing on suggesting that OP lacks compassion or empathy for parents with young children. Are you sitting in first class and can't sympathize with a family with young children? A small act of kindness can make a big difference. You are too selfish. This comment is often strongly refuted and receives many downvotes. In addition to the comment 1,000 times NTA mentioned above, another comment has also touched the hearts of many people and caused an emotional storm because of its sharp analysis of child privilege and the injustice of such requests. The so-called child privilege has gone too far. Having children does not allow you to demand what others have paid for and worked hard to get. This is not a matter of kindness. This is a matter of boundaries and respect for other people's property. It is not your responsibility to solve their seating problem. This comment received thousands of upvotes and awards, highlighting the deplorable nature of unreasonable demands. The Reddit community not only gave their verdict, but also actively engaged and expanded the topic into more in-depth discussions, offering advice and sharing personal experiences. Passenger rights, discussing the right of passengers to enjoy the service they paid for without being bothered. Parenting responsibilities when flying with young children. Advice on how parents should prepare for and manage flights with children to avoid causing trouble for others. The culture of begging and demanding. A debate on how people are becoming increasingly bold in asking for things that are not theirs. How to deal with unreasonable requests. Strategies for saying no politely but firmly. Personal experiences on planes. Countless similar stories of being asked to give up their seats or witnessing awkward situations. Overall, the Reddit community has been overwhelmingly supportive of the OP, seeing his/her actions as completely justified. After receiving overwhelming support and insightful advice from the Reddit community, OP gained the strength to face this difficult situation. He/she had some important updates about what happened next and how he/she is feeling. Summary of updates. No seat given. OP still insisted on sitting in his/her first-class seat. The flight attendant came to resolve the situation by talking to the other family, and they eventually returned to their economy class seats. Unpleasant gaze. The other family continued to look at OP with unfriendly eyes throughout the flight, but there were no further confrontations. Comfortable flight. Despite some initial tension, OP had a relatively comfortable and quiet flight as desired without being disturbed by the other family. No regrets. OP feels absolutely no regrets about his/her decision. OP believes that he/she acted correctly to protect his/her own interests and refused an unreasonable request. Lesson learned. OP learned a lesson about standing up to social pressure and not letting others take advantage of his/her kindness. OP will be confident more in the future when faced with similar requests. OP now feels relieved and confident. She no longer feels guilty or confused about his/her decision. Despite facing some discomfort from the other family, OP still feels satisfied that he/she has protected his/her rights and comfort. OP understands that saying no is not selfish, but rather setting necessary boundaries and encouraging others to take responsibility for their own issues. OP's story is a classic example of the challenges of balancing personal rights and unreasonable societal expectations. It highlights core issues of fairness, kindness, and personal responsibility. Conflicting emotions in the story OPs. Initially, anticipation and relief. Then, surprise, annoyance, and anger at receiving an unreasonable request. Finally, determination, serenity, and confidence in defending their rights. Family with young children. Possibly desperation or innocence in making a request. Then frustration, anger, and feeling offended when rejected. Reddit community ranging from outrage for the family to empathy for OP to reasoned analysis of ethics, rights, and social norms. Reddit community in this case acted as a strong court of justice and a strong supporter. When OP felt confused and criticized by strangers, the community provided a space for him/her to share his/her story and receive empathy and validation. Receiving an overwhelming NTA verdict helped OP strengthen his/her confidence in his/her decision. This proves that Reddit can be a place to seek understanding, support, and helpful advice when dealing with complex personal and social issues. Character analysis OP, narrator, represents someone who is determined to protect their legitimate rights, not allowing themselves to be pressured by unreasonable expectations from others. OP is polite but also decisive. Family with young children represents people who may be having a hard time with young children, but have chosen to solve the problem by making insensitive demands of others and reacting negatively when they are not met. Lessons learned. Payers' rights. When you have paid for a particular service or amenity, you have the right to enjoy it without being bothered or asked to give it up. Expectations are not rights. Having young children or experiencing hardship does not automatically give you the right to have others make concessions or sacrifice their rights. Responsibilities. Individuals, especially parents, have a responsibility to prepare for and manage their own situations, e.g., airplane seats, rather than relying on the kindness of strangers. Set boundaries and say bumping no. Sometimes saying no to an unreasonable request is necessary to protect yourself and prevent others from taking advantage of your kindness. Kindness has limits. Kindness is valuable, but it should not be forced or taken advantage of. Unconditional concessions can set a bad precedent. Be tactful in communication. Offers to give up your seat should be made with respect and the understanding that the other person has the right to say no, not as a demand. OP's story is a clear example of how we all face situations in life where it is necessary to stand up for ourselves and defend our rights, even if it means making others uncomfortable. It is a profound reminder of the importance of mutual respect in society, of personal responsibility, and of not expecting others to sacrifice for your problems. What do you think of this story? If you were OP, how would you handle this situation? Have you ever encountered a situation where you had to refuse a similar request on a plane or in a public place. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Thanks for following Reddit Stories. See you in the next story.